Hello. Hi, folks. This is one of those days I'd love to say I'm happy to see y'all, but this isn't that day. We do appreciate and thank you all for being here. I'm gonna tell a quick story that I remember, and it's because the statute of limitations has run out on it. And then I'm gonna leave the microphone up here for anyone that would like to tell their own story. And I'm gonna sit a little bit. It was years ago, poker game at the house, and Brandy's brother, Charlie, and Damien had run out of adult beverages. But it was a fairly cold night, and everyone had some adult beverages, but the store was only just down the street. So they bundled up and off they went, Damien and Charlie. Brandy kind of gave me a look at that point like, well, don't know if we'll see him again or not. I went out to put wood in the outdoor wood boiler, and from downtown I saw the blue lights. First thought was, oh, this can't be good. And they came tearing up the street. And I thought, ooh. Then they pulled right into the driveway. And I was really kind of flabbergasted. And, make sure he's not here. Daryl Heineman opened his door. And then he proceeded to open the back doors. Damien got out, Charlie got out. They took a couple steps. Damien looked at Charlie and said, don't forget the beer. To which Charlie reached back in, grabbed the beer, and they trudged into the house. No one had said a word. And I was looking at Daryl, and I was like, Daryl, what just happened? He goes, well, they wanted the siren, but I didn't want to wake up your neighbors. I said, what do you mean they wanted the siren? Well, apparently your brother-in-law had never ridden in a cop car, and your brother thought that was blasphemy. So proceeded to ask me if I would give them a ride home with the lights and sirens. At which point I told him I couldn't use the siren, but I could certainly use the lights. That's just a little glimpse into my brother. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm sure some of you have your own stories. Google statute of limitations before you tell any of them. And I hope you all enjoy everything. Just visit. We've all had a chance to read everything that you've said on Facebook. We thank you for that. We've probably not responded, but everything's been read. Food and drink are over there, and the microphone is yours. Food is free. Here you go. Yeah, here you go. I'm
Should be on.
And my name's John Sansky, right? I put his brother in the ground, 95. Not a good thing. You know, we're friends from when we were kids, and it is what it is after that, you know. We were kids. And, you know, the day that we went to carry his casket, they, you know, paid for a meal at Holmes Restaurant, and, you know, we went that way, but, you know, I've known these guys since I was a little boy. Scrub pants. And, you know, it was good. But, you know, the family's always been there for me, and I appreciate it. And I could tell you all kinds of crazy stories about Lucas and Damien also, that probably shouldn't be put out there. So, I mean, it was what it was, and, you know, if anybody else has anything they could say, that would be awesome, because I only have that little bit, you know, a little bit of 40 years, so. I mean, it is what it is, but, you know, I appreciate the family, the whole livelihood of it, and especially Damien, and he always told me about my ass when, sorry to say it that way, but my ass when it was my ass, and I cannot experience that anymore. But, thank you, and hopefully somebody can understand the same way that I feel, which is, you know, hey, tell you what you are, and be who you are. And it is what it is, and I can kind of experience that. So, thank you, and for giving me my minute here, but that was my buddy, you know, my whole life. And shit, he could tell me whatever I wanted to hear. Sometimes I had to hear it, and I appreciate it. And thank you. Somebody else could come do this, that'd be great.
Hello. My name's Jamie Carter, and I didn't have the pleasure of really knowing Damien as an adult. I left here in 1989, went down to Bath Iron Works. But growing up, the Walstons were really like a second family to me. I still talk about Don's brownies that were perpetually on the stove, and how we would just walk in to the house with, whether anyone was home or not, grab a glass of milk and a glass of brownies. And I asked her once what made them so special, because they were like the best freaking brownies I've ever had in my life. And I was expecting some, you know, secret home recipe, and she just was laughing at me, and said, basically, I just buy a double batch of whatever's on sale at Hannaford. That's pretty much what it is, you know. Damien was Justin's, middle brother. Obviously, Justin's a few years younger than me. We spent some time together. I have two real distinct memories of Damien that popped into my head when my sister called and told me he was gone. The first was his boots. Damien wore the heels on his boots, and his boots would sit on the ground, and they would lean towards one another. And Justin used to complain when Damien would wear his boots because he would destroy the boots, and you'd feel like you were walking cockeyed. And I had this real distinct memory of a pair of boots sitting there, which is odd. The other was a paper plate taco. Up at Long Lake, one year, I would say I was probably a year or two out of high school. David and Justin and I and Damien, Jenny was there, and Christian Buhner, who also sends his love and condolences for the family. We had tacos. We ate very well at Long Lake, very, very well. And we had plenty of taco stuff left over, but no shells. And Damien got talked into taking the rest of the taco meat, fat, grease, saturating a paper plate and eating a paper plate taco, which he did. Then we spent about an hour pumping salt water into his stomach to get him to puke, so he wouldn't bear too much sickness on the ride home, but he was a sport, to be sure. He always had a smile. There was a glimmer in his eyes that I can see in the pictures that are over here, and I'll remember those forever. I loved him. I loved the family. I was shocked to hear that he was gone, but I moved away, and I for reasons that happen, I guess, with everyone. Sometimes you just don't come home all that often, and I lost track of him over the years, but he'll be forever in my memories and my heart. He's a great guy, and I'm real sorry for the family for this loss, but he's not going to be forgotten. He's forever. Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Whitney. Jamie, thanks, you stole my one story. Actually, you stole the one story I was going to tell. Damien, I can't think of Damien without thinking of the family, the Walston family. Don and Greg were just so generous, and are so generous with their life, with their home, and with their love for people that were a part of their family. And so I can't remember how young Damien was when I first met him, but I do remember one time that Don hired me and Donnie Crandallmeyer to do a magic show at, I guess it was probably Justin's birthday, or maybe it was Damien's birthday, I don't remember, but I remember being there, and there are some pictures somewhere. But I say that to just say, they were, I graduated in 1985, and so at that point in time, the difference in age was quite substantial. As you become adults, not so much. And I can describe Damien as just being a true friend. In earlier years, I did socially spend time with Damien, and he came to, as Jamie said, Long Lake Camp, and I have told that story to Christina. I just said it just the other day, and to Kevin, and to a number of people. It was hilarious. The build up to the story, probably I would have described it a little bit differently. I think we were having a gross out contest, and Damien kind of stepped it up, and who could eat the most jalapenos, who could eat the most jalapeno juice, and Damien won and won. And then finally, the end result was the plate taco. And, we just, our stomachs were hurting. We were laughing so hard because it was just so ridiculous. And over the years, Damien's just been a constant in my life. In recent years, I haven't had, real social interactions with Damien, maybe because I didn't have a motorcycle and I wasn't into riding as much. But I suspect that if I was into riding, we would have had a few rides together. But over the years, the way that I would describe Damien is that he was a true friend. And he was the type of friend that if you were fair to him, he loved you with all of his heart. And time could pass, and you might see him in a setting, in a public setting, and he'd make his way to me to speak. But it might be months that would pass, and in between. He also was the type of guy that if you crossed him, you might never, ever be forgiven. Very, very stubborn. And you might say almost to a fault. But it was Damien, because he would balance that with the appreciation that he had for you if you were fair with him. And I had the pleasure of doing some business with Damien and Kevin in Holly's and my time of need in our house. And I say time of need. Sometimes when you have builders coming, it's pleasurable, but we had a situation that wasn't pleasurable. It was a time of, it was need. And Damien and Kevin bailed us out of so many little predicaments in our situation, and through it all, Damien and Kevin were just so fair and true to their word. When they would say, we will be there at 7:15, they were there at 7:15. And when they would say that they would be finished by 4 o'clock, they would be finished by 4 o'clock. And the bills were exceedingly fair. And the timing of sending the bills was exceedingly fair. There was Damien and his partner Kevin. I think they were such good partners because they filled the day with fun, and they knew that they were delivering to their customer the absolute best that they could. And Damien would describe his partnership with Kevin by saying, he's the brains, I'm the brawn. But Damien was one smart fellow. He really was. And he always gave credit to Kevin. And he always gave credit to others. And he was just a marvelous individual. In this town and this community, we'll always remember Damien. And I consider him a very, very good friend, and I miss him. And I miss him. And I'm shocked at the way he went. And I'm sorry about the way he went. And I'm sorry for the family. But he left a legacy that he didn't realize that he left. And Damien's a man that I love. And I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Because I really don't like these things. Well, My name is Debbie Farah, and I was born and raised here in Machias and moved away for a while. And the first time that I ever met the Walstons was through Justin, because my daughter and he have always been very, very good friends, almost like brother and sister. Then I got the opportunity to meet Damien and Lucas, and I have one short, funny, I think it's a funny story, because I can still visualize it in my mind. So Jason and Damien had the same four-wheeler. And one time, by the restaurant, we saw this blue four-wheeler go down Route 1. A shirt was open and flapping in the winds and boots on. And we all looked at each other and we said, Damien. Well, it wasn't long after when one of the local police officers showed up at my house thinking it was Jason. So somehow Damien got away with that. We all had a good laugh about it. As an adult, what I want to say is that Damien always was respectful towards me. He always said hello. I will never forget that little devilish gleam in his eye, that little grin, and his individualism. He was his own person. And I just want the family to know that Peter, Julie, Michael, my whole family that couldn't be here today, we send our love and condolences to the entire family. And anyone who ever knew Damien or Lucas, they will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's shoot some hoops, man. Here we go.
If we were sentimental for any more than 5 minutes, he'd probably be pissed, so let's go get some food.
Small. Back way. Small.
Yeah.
I don't know.